With all the video games that are coming out now, and no money to buy any of them, I've gone back and started looking at games that have gained my utmost respect and garnered the most time of my gaming career. Now because this is a list made by me, it's completely subjective to games that I've played, and so I've missed some great games. But remember that this isn't a definitive list, but rather what has caught my enjoyment throughout my lifetime playing video games. So what games made my top 10 list? What are my favorite games of all time? Does your favorite game make the list? Stay tuned and find out. Number 10.
You got that airstrip ready, Teresa? ETA 2 hours.
Syphon Filter 2. A game that most probably wouldn't expect, but Syphon Filter was the game I played before games like Gears of War, Crackdown, or Max Payne were ever around. And this game started a lot of third-person shooters to follow. I spent many hours playing through the second Syphon Filter, especially after I played a demo for it on one of the PlayStation Underground packs. Syphon Filter is a game about a virus that can be lethal to humans, and it's up to Gabe Logan, a secret agent, to stop it from being released. The story focuses on gunplay from third person, and while the controls aren't very responsive by today's standards, they still set a precedent for what would come from the genre. The greatest part of the game that I personally loved was the voice acting, and how movie-like the game presented itself. For the time, it had some of the best voice acting and cutscenes around, only to be beaten by a few. But above the voice acting was one thing that made this game more satisfying than chainsawing someone to death, killing in slow motion, or using superhuman strength. An air taser. That's right. The ability to use a taser that would fly through the air and burn any enemy at any distance to a crisp. Oh, how satisfying that was, and will forever be in my memory. Number 9. Shenmue. Originally designed for the Sega Saturn, but later coming out for the Dreamcast, Shenmue was a masterpiece that never got the true recognition it deserved, nor the sales numbers, and just like the Dreamcast, it was abandoned. Rumor has it that the entire finished game, including all chapters, is sitting somewhere on a shelf and ready to play, but still uses the old Dreamcast graphics, which even by today's standards are still impressive. Shenmue was a story about Ryu Hazuki, a teenager who witnesses his father's death at the hands of Lan Di. After witnessing his father's death, Ryu seeks revenge and starts out on his path towards finding Lan Di and making him pay for his crime. What makes this game so great is its character development. You spend countless hours learning about the different people in the game and learn a lot about Ryu himself throughout the entire course of the game. This can lead to some boring spots of trying to ask the right person the right questions, or having to go throughout your day-to-day job as a forklift operator, but overall doesn't hinder the experience. Along the way, you'll run into some thugs that you'll have to dispatch with Ryu's martial arts abilities, and these come along as QTEs, or quick-time events. Most people recognize these today as they're a big part of a lot of games such as God of War, but this game was one of the first to really bring it to mainstream. Shenmue gave me countless hours of entertainment, as well as pulling an all-nighter to finish it, and one of the most climatic endings I've seen in gaming history, with the perfect amount of build-up to the end. This game, while it never was finished, still has hope to show its stellar story again and finally finish what Ryu set out to do. At least that's my hope. Number 8.
You heard the lady. Move like you got a purpose.
This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
Once again, it is our job to finish what the flyboys started. We are leaving this ship platoon and engaging the Covenant on solid ground. When we meet the enemy, we will rip their skulls from their spines and toss them away, laughing. Am I right, Marines? Sir, yes, sir!
Halo. While I already reviewed Halo, it is by far one of my favorite games of all time because of its ability to capture the player and engulf them in a futuristic world. Master Chief has become known as one of the best video game heroes of all time, and not to mention how much Halo did for the success of the Xbox. I first played the game as a demo. Playing the Silent Cartographer level, And being the only Xbox owner at the time, everyone thought I was weird for getting it instead of the PlayStation 2. But after playing some co-op on the Silent Cartographer, they quickly changed their opinion of the Xbox. Halo showed off what Microsoft could do, and that they were certainly capable of holding their own as a video game system designer. Master Chief is the last Spartan soldier left to fight a horde of aliens called the Covenant, and when you play this game, you feel that power of being a super soldier. You feel like you're the last chance, the only hope for humanity as you play throughout. While I said I'd do a review of ODST to finish my Halo reviews, recently with the release of Halo Reach being at the end of the Halo games, at least for now, I think I'll hold off and do a review of Reach and ODST together to end my Halo review. Number 7. Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario Bros. I couldn't honestly choose which of these two should be better than the other, and honestly, with all the rivalry between the two, I didn't want to make that kind of judgment, so I'm putting these two together. While Sonic has taken a big fall as of late with some of his titles, I feel that something was tapped with Unleashed, if you don't take into account the night levels, with the speed and feel of Sonic. And with the new Sonic 4 release coming this summer, I have hope for the series. But Sonic originally has always been about blazing speed, and when you first picked up the Genesis controller, you were immediately immersed in a game that had speed beyond what had ever been seen before. It's what made Sega a competitor against Nintendo. Sonic blazed through his levels and showed that Genesis had some of the greatest processing power of its time, as well as its 16-bit graphics. Super Mario Bros. Was a game that surprised a lot of people, because it also did something that people weren't expecting, just like Sonic did with Speed. This was about secrets, secret places for warp zones, hidden one-ups, and the vine that would take you to the special stage. The first time you jumped up and accidentally hit that hidden box, you thought, "What is that? Where did it come from?" To this day, people still play this game trying to do speedruns, and it has been its own category in records, and also set the standard for a platforming game, and what it meant to have a mascot for your system. These two, while they used to be rivals, have since let down their arms, mainly because Sega died with the Dreamcast, and now they seem more cooperative. But there will always be the rivalry of their old systems and old games, and honestly, they both deserve credit for changing the industry. Number 6.
I was born 87 years ago. For 65 years, I've ruled as Tamriel's emperor. But for all these years, I've never been the ruler of my own dreams. I have seen the gates of oblivion, beyond which no waking eye may see.
The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion. A tale about a king who knows his own death is at hand. You must then search for his successor and set right the kingdom's ruler. Oblivion was a revolution in video game graphics and frame of scope. The game is massive and spans hours of entertainment, my own file reaching in the high 70s of hours played. With some of the best voice acting from this generation of gaming, including voice work from Sean Bean and Patrick Stewart himself.
Let me see your face. You are the one from my dreams.
This game took what Morrowind did right and corrected everything it didn't do very well, especially the fighting. Morrowind seemed very sketchy in its fighting, and only using magic seemed to work correctly. In Oblivion, everything seems to be perfect, and it doesn't feel thrown in as just an in-case scenario. The story scales across all of Cyrodiil, and has you going places that even aren't part of it, if you get the DLC. The story has some of the best character development that a game can have, and some of the most beautiful or scary landscapes that you can imagine. That's what will always stand out for me from this game, and that's why it falls into my number 6 slot.